What's up, YouTube? DJ Kryptonite here. I'm excited about the fight tomorrow between Shawn Porter and Terrance Crawford. Looking forward to it. I think it should be an exciting fight. It seems to be a cross-promotional fight with Top Rank and Al Heyman PBC, which is great for boxing because you're having promotion companies mutually agreeing to host fights now, especially with the Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder trilogy series. That was a co-op between PBC and Top Rank, which was great for boxing. It looks like it's starting to thaw a little bit between the different promotional companies and networks and stuff, so that's great for boxing. However, I think it's something underlying in this one, because I don't think Shawn Porter is going to be that dog in this fight. I don't think he's going to be a dog. Now, if you look at Shawn Porter's fights up until this point, he's been a true animal. Like, he may get touched, and he may get put on his butt maybe once or twice on a knee or whatever, but he's never been beaten up. Now, if he gets beaten up and he looks a bit out of sorts or out of character in this fight, don't be surprised. Because ultimately, between the two networks, I think this is a preliminary fight to see how much cred Crawford can have to make the bigger overall fight of Errol Spence versus Terrance Crawford. I think this is one of those fights, or the fight, to see where Terrance Crawford is nationally as a name, and to see how much his stock will go up when putting Errol Spence and Crawford in the same ring. Ultimately, Terrance Crawford doesn't promote, he doesn't market a fight, he doesn't sell a fight, he just fights. That's what he does. But he doesn't push it to generate the optimal amount of revenue. So, and he really didn't do it this fight. I think he was forced to do a lot of these interviews and these little, what do they call it? Interviews and I guess pre-fight conferences, or whatever you want to call it. But he was actually, these staged interviews, that's not Crawford. Crawford, what they're doing is trying to sell this guy. They're trying to sell him as a big name because he's a talented guy, but he can't sell ice water to a nomad in the desert. He can't sell ice water. He can't sell. He can't give ice water to a guy in the desert, because he's not a promoter type guy. He doesn't sell. He's not a character. He's not any of those things. But anyway, what I'm thinking is Al Heyman and your boy, Top Rank's guy. I can't remember his name right now because I really don't care for him. The one who runs Bob Arum. He runs Top Rank. Well, essentially his son really runs it now. It's kind of turning over to his son, but Bob Arum and Al Heyman, I think they've actually decided, well, Al Heyman has decided that Shawn Porter is probably no longer relevant in the welterweight class. Now, I know people are going to disagree with me on that, but he's lost a lot of big fights. He's won a couple. I think Broner, did he beat Danny Garcia? Maybe. So he won a couple big name fights, but for the most part, he's falling short to the big ones, like one-time Thurman, of course, Errol Spence. He's kind of lost to the bigger guys, right? So I think Al Heyman has decided, hey, he's a bargaining chip to go cross-promotional, because you see where Shawn Porter's head is now. Shawn Porter's head is now doing commentating. He's about to transition to be a commentator. That's where he's headed. I think his boxing career is getting put to the back burner. He's still commentating as he's training for this fight. I think it's so obvious that he's decided that now he's going to be an analyst as opposed to a boxer, which is fine. So I think Al Heyman said, you know what? I see what Porter's interest is at this point. Sacrificial lamb time. What I'll do is I'll throw Bob Arum a bone that's really already been gnawed on. We've gotten what we can get out of Shawn Porter. He's a dog, and you can kind of negotiate however you want to at this point, Shawn Porter. Go ahead over there, because it looks like it's not even a shared pay-per-view. Normally it's shared pay-per-view between ESPN, maybe Fox or whatever. It's straight ESPN Plus. So Arum is controlling the promotion and all that, but he probably had to pay Al Heyman some sort of fee to get his boxer over there. That's probably how that worked out. But it was behind the scenes, of course. But everything is pretty much ESPN Top Rank. So now, this is the kicker. So when you look at this fight, like I said, if you see anything odd, Shawn Porter don't really have that true dog in him. He's not as aggressive. He's letting Crawford kind of take advantage in certain situations where Porter wouldn't allow that. The setup is there. The reason being, Terrance Crawford needs a big name. He needs somebody to get the big money, for both networks to get the big money. The big money comes Errol Spence, Terrance Crawford. That's where the big money comes. But before they can make that fight, they need a big name on his resume at the welterweight level. That's Shawn Porter. And I think Shawn Porter was willing to be the sacrificial lamb because he has other things that he wants to do. He wants to commentate. And does he really care if he loses to the best pound-for-pound guy in boxing? Even if he decides, and heaven forbid, I'm not going to say that he's going to toss this fight, dive, or whatever you want to call it, but best believe that's part of that negotiation I'm trying to tell you. The reason being is because this is for bigger funds. This is for a bigger event. This is the preliminary to a bigger event. And Terrance Crawford needs Shawn Porter on his resume. That's what he needs, and I think Shawn Porter's willing to take that dive. So believe you me, if he looks a little hard, he's taking an unnecessary beating, get hit with a crazy shot, doesn't look like himself. Mark my words. Remember that I said this because I think this is for bigger and better things. I've really been contemplating this because I really wasn't sure why Shawn Porter, they all of a sudden decided that they were going to fight, because they had a history. You know, they were friends, you know, from the amateurs and the nationals and that sort of thing. And the dad was dealing with Terrance Crawford, you know, quite a bit. And they had a history. Not to say it was a great history, but it was a history. You know? So I just think this is kind of the setup for the payout. This is the setup for the payout. And the ultimate payout is Errol Spence and Terrance Crawford. And it's coming. It's coming to a theater near you. So I think this is kind of where we are in boxing. This is it. So I think this is the lead up to the big payday. So I don't know. Like, subscribe, comment, do what you want. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just try to follow the money. When you follow the money, things become clear to you as to what the motivation is behind certain things, because boxing is no different than anything else. It's no different than football, basketball. All this stuff is money driven, all of it. And boxing is probably more so because they don't really have any oversight from an overall commission or a league, that sort of thing. The sanctioning bodies don't care. They're just money generators. They can care less. You know, they're just collecting fees. That's what they do. So all this other stuff, trying to tell you, mark my words, this is the setup for the big payday. And if Shawn Porter looks a bit odd, looks a bit out of sorts, you're like, oh, Terrance Crawford just walked through him. That's never been done before. Never been done before. Not to say Terrance Crawford can't do it, but that's a bit out of character for Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter was a middleweight in the amateurs. He was a 160 pounder. So it's just going to be funny. It's going to be a pretty funny sight to see Shawn Porter backing up or doing something he wouldn't ordinarily do. So take a look. Let me know what your thoughts are. In fact, comment or like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. But comment on this video after the fight. That's going to be the important part, because I want you to see what I think it's going to be. And I'm just saying this now, just to give everybody an opportunity to check out what I'm saying and see what the outcome is. Anyway, DJ Kryptonite out, Fight Doctor, talking sports, combat sports, and boxing. So check that fight out tomorrow. Should be exciting.